50 or 60% of the day, to be honest.
Your phone.
I'm on my phone all the time, man.
Pretty much every day.
I'd say about 50 times a day.
Now, since I'm addicted to a game, probably about 60% of the time, but before, probably about 40%.
Usually, probably 10 minutes of class, every class.
Whenever I'm not doing my work. All the time, too.
45%.
What is your policy on cell phone usage in the classroom?
Specifically, obviously we have to follow school policy, but it's difficult. It's always a challenge to get students to actually put their cell phones away, and I know they're going to use them. I know they're going to have them. I prefer that they don't have them out. I try not to get too wrapped around the axle about it. I always tell them at the beginning of the year, I know you have a cell phone. I don't want to see it, but invariably I do. But I've never taken out the cell phone, except for on a couple of occasions, but never like send it to sub school or anything like that. It's become a kind of a way of life, especially the last 2 or 3 or maybe 4 years, kids really can't seem to function without them. They have to be in sort of constant communication and shortening attention spans and things like that. They can't. You sit in a standardized testing room or something like that, and they panic and they break out into a cold sweat because they can't be on their phones while they're not actively doing something.
Okay. Do you think a stricter policy would help with that?
Not necessarily. For a while, Plano had a fairly strict cell phone policy. They were allowed to have them out during class. And, if they had to be taken up and different things like that. And it ended up causing more problems. There's the liability issues, like if I take your phone and either take it to sub school or I have it on my desk or something like that, and it gets stolen or broken, then who's responsible? Who's liable? So I think Plano Senior High sort of relaxed some of their policies in terms of usage, whereas other schools in the district continue to sort of tighten their policies. I don't think that they would ever go to like a full prohibition, like you cannot have cell phones or anything like that. I think that would be absolutely unrealistic. But I don't necessarily see it as too much of a problem. There are some issues with the potential for compromising quizzes or tests, which was a situation we actually had earlier this year, where a student in an early class took a picture of a quiz and it got sent around. And, we found out about it and took appropriate measures as we possibly could. But it was having a more restrictive policy would most likely not prevent that from happening. With the exception of an outright prohibition, you're not allowed to have them on campus, and that's unrealistic.
Okay. So, exactly how often do you see students on their phones in class? I mean, let's say just kind of general in-class assignment, not a quiz or a test or anything.
Like during a lecture or some sort of activity?
Sure.
If there's a lecture, invariably somebody's going to be on their phone. They'll claim they're taking notes, which I know they're not. But invariably those students tend to not do particularly well on any sort of assessment, like a quiz or a test that might be over that material. because they're not paying attention. They're doing whatever it is they're doing on their phone. We also, sometimes kids will have them out. I've had students record lectures. They'll have that on their desk or something like that. So I see them, and anytime there's a pause or a lull, or if they do get a message, it doesn't occur to them that they shouldn't check it. There are times when it's okay to take a look. If they're when they're working on an individual activity, that might be okay. I don't get too bent out of shape about if you get a text message or something like that, you can take a look and maybe respond to it. But if you're sitting there the whole time playing a game, then that's a problem. I've had students that sit all day and play games in class, and I kind of feel like I go to the old adage: if you give them enough rope, they're going to hang themselves. So if a kid wants to sit and play games all day, I guess I could take up his phone and then have the liability issues, or I could just say, look, you're not going to do well if you're not paying attention. The choice is yours. You guys are 16, 17 years old. You should be begin the process of making responsible choices for yourself.
Yup, I was on my Xbox 360. This Call of Duty map came out. My dad gave me that credit card number. I purchased that bitch.
Alright, Terrence?
Nah, my mom will beat the hell out of me.
Do you think your daughter's hiding anything from you?
No, she can't. I mean, that's the great thing about technology now. And your cell phones are basically homing devices. We can find you 24/7. We can look at your browsing history. We can read your texts. We can save everything to the iCloud. And I'm a little bit more of a trusting parent than some, so I don't really dive into that. But she knows that that function is available, so she's a lot less likely to try to get away with something. She's a lot more responsible.
How do you feel about your daughter's constant access to the internet and instant communication with others?
We live in a day and age where you need to be able to access both of those in the workplace all the time. So I like the fact that she's learning how to use them responsibly before she gets there. On the other hand, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, there's things that she can be exposed to a lot quicker than she would have been at in a different time. So what I've learned is to just keep the lines of communication open with her, so that if she comes across something or I see something in browsing history, I can discuss it with her. But I don't really have those issues with her. So for the most part, it's not that big of a deal. But ask me about my other teenager, and you'll get a different answer.
Once or twice a week.
I would say 24 hours a day, but now maybe like one at most.
On the weekends, I play it the majority of the time. During school, I do not play it at all.
People using their phones while driving, I don't think it's safe, since there's a lot of reports. There's been a lot of reports how people using their phones while driving they've gotten in crashes. So, it's not necessarily that safe. I don't really support it.
I think that it distracts them and it's a risk, and if they aren't driving carefully and using their phone, that they might accidentally get into a car crash.
Well, I mean, nothing's wrong with using your phone, you just gotta use it appropriately. You can't be using it while you're driving like 80 miles per hour trying to text a friend like LOL, like, I mean, you're gonna get killed. But personally, I think driving and texting, and you're under control, I think you can do it if you have the ability. Because some people can't multitask, they're just like dumb people, and they don't know how to multitask. That's how I feel.
I think it is stupid and irrational. I think we should be paying better attention to the road and not be checking texts and stuff like that.
Absolutely not. I personally wouldn't do it. Just your main focus when driving is the road, other cars and stuff. Being on your phone just distracts you from the road. It causes many deaths, and it's not something I support.
Well, if I'm on my phone when I'm around people, then I feel like, I guess they'd be kind of left out. If you're being too focused on your phone and you're supposed to be with your friends, then that's kind of rude. Same if they're on their phone while I'm trying to like talk to someone.
You're really just into your phone and you won't be talking to people, and it makes it awkward and not a very good environment.
Okay, I think it kind of like disrupts the whole friendship complex. Like, it messes up everything you were talking about, kind of gets you off task, and you're just really not kind of with them. You're there, but you're not there.
Good, but I do know some people who are very annoyed if their friends are on their phone while they're talking to them.
How often is your daughter on her phone?
24/7. I'm pretty sure she texts in her sleep.
There could be times where I'm in class and if I need to look something up, then I have my phone, compared to, having to ask the teacher to go on the computer or go to the library. I have it right there and I can look it up.
I think that if you're on your phone during class, then you'll be distracted and your grades will go down because you're not paying attention in class.
Like, it's like you're on your phone, you're doing something that you want to do and still working. I don't think it really affects your grades unless you let it get to a point like you just can't focus and you're just zoned in your phone.
I think it, like, depending if you're using it for class, like, if you're not using it for class, then yeah, it's going to make your grade go down, because you're not paying attention. But, like, if you're using it to, like in Spanish, if you need to look up a quick definition, I think that's good, because it helps out. You don't have to get up and look at the dictionary.
Most of the time, it causes them to steadily decrease, because obviously, just like the road, that's your main focus. You're focusing on the class, on the course, whatever you're studying. And being on your phone will just take away from that, and your grade will start to diminish most of the time anyway. There's some people that can multitask, but I'm not one of those people, so I like to stay focused, just get my work done, do the best I can.
There's some good aspects and there's some bad aspects. Good aspects because a lot of tasks that we've done, the efficiency of them has increased, and the bad aspect would be that people have become more self-absorbed in what they're doing, and it's kind of a distraction. People say that they're smartphones and dumb people.
I think it's completely shaped society, in my opinion. Like, back in the day, like, there was all the things, like, nobody knew about, like, for example, K-pop. Nobody knew what that was until up until now and stuff like that. And there was all these memes and Tumblr, Twitter, stuff like that. It just didn't get around as fast until technology came around and changed it, in my opinion.